When it comes to Beyond series, we'll get there. Beyond is going to have some time to rest, to recover, to recuperate. He's going to need to after that crazy back and forth. So Beyond, he can rest up. And we'll be jumping into that upper semis after this series. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have the red Protoss player. It is Art. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the pink Protoss player representing Basilisk from the land of Canada, living in the land of South Korea. It is a Trigger. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is a Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck. Best of luck in the chat. As we have a couple of moments here to predict on who you think will advance on. Now, on the one hand, I would say Trigger. Trigger, he is the heavy favorite to make it to the grand finals 100%. Even against Nightmare, I would have said that Trigger was favored. But, you know who else was favored against Art? Everyone. Shameless was favored. Art, Nightmare was favored as well. And they both fell. They both fell at the hands of Art. So I cannot count him out. I don't know what happened in those series. I don't know what happened in those matches. I don't know how Art did it. But he did. He brought down some big names already here in this tournament. Can he keep going? I want to believe he can. I want to believe that we can make a series out of this. For now, 2-gate. 2-gate opener out of Art. Likewise, 2-gate opener out of Trigger. So far, so good. Here we go. Why we chose not to PvP all night? Because we knew we would get there in the end. We knew, Pappy. We knew. We got there. But here we go. Our probe scouts are coming in. Both players going to be dipping into the main bases, getting eyes on the placement of the second and third pylon. Just making sure everything is as it should be. We have the second pylon in the main base for Trigger. Likewise, second pylon in the main for Art as well. So both players confirmed that there is no proxy. Is no proxy pylon. As we have our initial units of choice, going to be Stalker Sentry here out of Art. Likewise, Trigger going Stalker Sentry as well. Mirrored builds, 2-gate opener, Stalker Sentry, standard setups here. The reason why Stalker Sentry is kind of the go-to is because it does keep us safe early on and gives you a lot of scouting potential, especially with the most recent change, with the recent NG overcharge. It means you have that much energy to work with for those hallucinations. So it is the go-to. Speaking of, there it is. First hallucination is moving out. Trigger does get the faster expansion. It's going to be a Nexus, Nexus first. 2-gate opener into our Nexus. Art going for the same. Later by a couple of seconds, but not too much. So a slightly later expansion. Hallucination dips in, gets eyes on the base, confirms that there is no crazy one base all in, and confirms that there's no crazy early tech. Not uncommon to go for like a Stargate or a Robo before expanding, so Trigger does confirm, and likewise Art is doing the same. So he does rotate in, gets eyes on the tech. Going to be a Twilight Council opener here, or Twilight Council as the tech of choice for Trigger. Same can be said for Art. So far both players are keeping up with each other. I mean, they're playing the most kind of standard setup here in PvP. Oh! Diving on the sentry. Nice control. Trigger, he pulls away in time, saves the sentry. Saves the Stalker as well. Trigger, he does out-trade Art, takes down the Stalker. Very nicely done. As Trigger holds. Trigger does hold. The PvP boredom have begun. Oh, don't clown in the chat. You're an animal. PvP is a lot of fun. Again, if you've been watching, I mean, we cast PvP all the time here on the channel, but especially when it comes to more aggressive and more assertive styles, especially when the Korean Protoss are involved, and even Trigger as well, we do often get very dynamic PvPs. So far, I can say that, I mean, things are looking pretty standard for the time being. Proxy Pylon gets found and is going to be shut down. But I always enjoy me some PvP. I think it might be my favorite mirror matchup to cast. I think. It does depend on the players, though. 100%. Does depend on the players. For now, Blink is on the way. We have Blink from both Trigger and Art. Likewise, 2-gate follow-up. Interesting. So Trigger's going to be expanding and getting his third base. Art, he delays his third in favor of extra gateways. So Art, he will have a larger army. Larger armies coming up. PvP, now the real tournament begins. True, true. Unironically, if you don't enjoy PvP, then you don't enjoy watching StarCraft tournaments, because that's all we have. Not wrong, not wrong. If you don't enjoy PvP, then you don't enjoy the Water TV Mondays, Monday Night Weeklies, Sparkling Tuna Cup, Pegasaur Mondays. True. Then you just don't enjoy StarCraft. Trigger, he does engage here behind this. No shield batteries. Bear that in mind. Art, he's going to be reinforcing. And Art is committing. He's committing into a two-base all-in. I mentioned before that Art, he delayed his third. He did delay his third. He never got it. He never got the third base. Warping in 4 Stalkers at a time. Trigger trying to hold on. Shield battery still on the way. Immortal has arrived. And as time goes on, it's getting better and better for Trigger. Remember, Art, he's all in. Trying to break through. Oh, so far Trigger does link away. Does wing back. He's got 3 shield bars behind this. Now a second immortal as well. And Trigger, he's that much more secure. He's that much more secure. And at this point, Odd, he can't expand. He can't expand anymore. He's committed. He has to. Oh. Once again being forced back. Trigger getting into his 3rd immortal. Look at the instab here. I mean, Art, he has double the Stalker counts. But the Immortals, they make up for that. Did you make up for it? I'm loving the hallucination as well. So far going for the dive. Gets 1 Immortal. He gets 1. No, he wastes a shot. Gets a hallucination. And with that, he's going to be losing everything here. So many Stalkers go down. Trigger, he will punish the Immortal. He's immortal. He lives. And Trigger holds. He shuts down the army. That was how many? That was 16 Stalkers going down for 2. For 2 Stalkers. 3 even. The trades are crazy. The efficiency. Trigger forces back. God, I mean, again, that's the power of the Immortal, right? You might be down in Stalkers, but with a handful of Immortals, you can make up for that so well. And now we have the reinforcements. Now we have the surround. GG gets called, and Trigger, he will survive. He will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Trigger, he will take a lead in the series. And again, thankfully, Trigger, he was able to respond in time. He did recognize that there was no expansion. Had plenty of shield batteries, the Immortals as well. And again, you saw the trades. You saw that it was, what, 18 Stalkers towards the end for 3 Stalkers and 2 Immortals. It was crazy. And with that, Trigger is now 1 game away from the Grand Finals. 1 game away. And the pressure's on Art. Things are looking a little bit rough here. I mean, again, it's a best of 3, not a best of 5, so a shorter series. But I want to believe. I want to believe in the power of Art. Let's go. So we are jumping into that second game. Art is a player that can peak really high, I've always found. I mean, Art, he's like a veteran. He's a veteran of the scene, and he can always fight back. I think it was 2 months ago in Firegrow Cup number... It was either number 5 or number 6, where a similar thing happened, where in the group stage, I did kind of write Art off, and he popped off. I want to say that it was in that month where he defeated Young Yakov. Like, Art, he took down some big names in the CIS region. Names that I would consider to be more favored than Art, and yeah, he did well for himself. Less so this month. I don't think Art is as consistent, unfortunately, but he definitely has some really strong moments. Definitely has some really strong moments. He can turn it on, Pappy. Turn it on. Here we go. So we're jumping into game 2. Game 2 is going to be on Ultra Love. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have our red Protoss player. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back and force the ace match. It is Art. and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the pink Protoss player, the Canadian Protoss, representing Basilisk, leading the series 1-0. It is Trigger. Here we go. As we are jumping in, and welcome one and all to a very different map. Welcome to Ultra Love, which has a ramp coming into the natural. What does this mean? This means that Trigger, he is tempted, I mean all players are, to go for a gate into Cybercore into a faster expansion. We're setting up here on the low ground. This is the standard approach on a map like Ultra Love, El Dorado as well. If a map has a ramp coming into the natural, it is standard and meta to go for something more economic instead. It is safe to do so. Meanwhile, Art does the opposite. He sets up on the high ground instead, which means Art could go for a 2-gate opener. If he does, and he does, by the way, we can move out and set up a proxy. This could be the beginning of a 1-base all-in. As Trigger's opening up, actually, never mind, Trigger opening up 2-gate as well. It is a little bit more of a different opener here with the gateways on the low ground, but a very safe opener nonetheless. Oh boy. So Art is moving in. Cybercore gets thrown down before the expand. And oh no, he's being baited! Art, not like this! Okay, so first things first, Art, he didn't scout, and as I mentioned, Art opening up on the high ground here means typically 1-base all-in. We have the potential for a proxy and for a 1-base all-in, and Art is going for it. But Trigger, he's going for a very safe opener here. 2 gates into potentially tech first. He's scouting as well. Trigger is checking, checks the third base, rotates over, and does he find the proxy? It is going to be a robo. It is the 1-base all-in. Trigger, he finds the probe. Very suspect here. He finds the probe, yep, and he will check, and he will confirm. He knows. He does scout the proxy. Stalkers, they're already on the way, and he could even try to depower that robo. Could try to depower. Adepts being rallied across the map. Adepts are being rallied. And Art still has no idea. He still hasn't checked. He doesn't know what he's moving into. Doesn't know what he's pushing into here. That's Trigger. He's going for the pylon. Adepts, they try to respond. Stalkers have arrived. Oh, they body blocked the probe. Oh my god. He can't make the pylon. It's stuck. He's just gonna be targeted down. The probe falls. The pylon as well. Depowers the robo. Denies the immortal. And back at home, Trigger, he fully walls off. He has a full wall. Adepts, they do nothing. And Art, he's being completely shut down. Again, the mind games. Well, I say mind games. Really, the metagame. The metagaming here out of Trigger. As he gambled, like Trigger, he was hoping that Art was going to all-in him. So he just went for a 2-gate opener himself. Crazy. Crazy bad. Behind this, immortal production has begun for Trigger. Getting a 3rd gate as well. The robo is repowered, true. 2 more pylons. It's back up and running. Trigger, he does rotate, trying to catch reinforcements. Art, he's still committed. And Trigger, he's gonna hope to even force a recall. As he does wander across the map. Dipping into the main. Going for the mineral line. Probes are going down. I mean, Art, he was already all in, but now he's that much more committed here as he has no economy to sustain himself. It's going to be that much weaker here. And there's the recall. 10 probe kills. And Trigger, he commits. Oh, a bit of a later recall. He will save 1 Stalker. Barely 2. Barely 2 Stalkers make it out. Likewise, Art, because the recall is out of position. Trigger, he can try to go for the pylons. Oh, oh god. He wants a prism. He wants it. It's so close. It's so low. Calm down. Prism does escape. Trigger, he commits across the map into the mineral line. Well, Trigger trying to keep up. The main army has arrived. Knocks down the pylon. Adepts taking shade in. On Trigger, he does hit the mineral line as well at the same time. Arthur gaining ground. Knocks down the pylon, going for the gateways. Back at home, down to 9 probes. Recall's on cooldown for both players. Recall is on cooldown. 2 gateways are about to be depowered. Trigger, he's down to 1 gate. 1 gate, 1 robo. Trigger gets supply blocked. And not, he has a larger army. The force fields though. 3 shield batteries on the way, 4 in total. Does commit to the shade. We're out of range. Yeah, he's barely out of range. 1 immortal goes down. Massive pickoff. Down to 1. 1 immortal left. Again, Trigger is barely holding on. Force fields, they lock down the immortal. It's going to be targeted. And Trigger, he's in trouble. He has to pull the boys. The immortal goes down. He's still across the map. We need him. We need everything to defend. And Sarge, he's trying to commit, but he's running out of steam as well. Down to 1 immortal, 1 stalker, 2 sentries. And GG gets called. Trigger, he holds, and Trigger will advance on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Again, Trigger working with the reputation of the map. Instead of going for an economic opener, he went for a very safe, borderline aggressive opener, going double gate. Meanwhile, Art was blindly going for a one-base all-in, hoping that Trigger had gone for something more economic. Alas, he didn't. Alas, he did not. With that Trigger, he was able to catch his opponent with his pants down instead, despite the all-in that was attempted. And Trigger does make it to the grand finals. Congratulations! And a shout out to Art, because even though he didn't make it any further, even though he only made it here to the semis, still a very strong performance. Art, he took down Nightmare, he took down Shameless as well. Some big wins out of Art. And even here in Game 1 and Game 2, it was still some very intense games against Trigger. It was an easy hold there, easy defense from Trigger whatsoever. GG. GG. And with that, we have our first finalist, and we're here to find out who is going to be our second player to join Trigger in those grand finals. Who's it going to be?